videos are shared 20 times more than any other type of content. But it doesn't just mean that you can sit there and do a video and it's going to do well. It's got to be good. You've got to got to know what you're doing. And it is this whole new skill set, as you know, being able to, get in front of camera and hold people's attention, get them to remember the content, what you're saying, having it edited properly, lighting, audio, all those sort of things are a skill and are important. You can't just expect to hop in front of the camera and say, hi, here I am, I'm on my way to a meeting, and all of a sudden your business is going to go crazy. Like, you've got to have some sort of strategy, and it's going to take some time for you to get good at it.
Hello, video marketing professionals. Welcome to the podcast that takes the mystery out of producing videos. Our guest is Nathaniel Bibby, founder and the managing director of the leading LinkedIn marketing agency, the Bibby Consulting Group, where they train people on best practices to grow their business on LinkedIn. Nathaniel has been called the #1 LinkedIn expert in the Asia Pacific region by the Social Media Marketing Institute. He's won the best use of LinkedIn. He's helped clients close $400 million in additional sales through LinkedIn marketing strategies. And I'm sure by the end of this episode, you're not only going to know how to manage your LinkedIn profile a hell of a lot better, but use video like a pro. I'm your host, Chris Schwager. So here's our conversation with Nathaniel Bibby. This guy is everywhere. He is the #1 guru that I turn to for LinkedIn advice. And I can't wait to get into today's show because he's going to give us loads of hot tips, tricks, all of that. And let's get him on the show. Hey, Nathaniel, thank you so much for joining us. After 20 years producing videos, I still think that most people are just exploring this for the first time. Is it the same with LinkedIn?
It's definitely a lot better than it was 8 years ago. I don't have to educate people on what LinkedIn is anymore, but yeah, it is very much that way. It's just about educating the market, isn't it?
Yes. And LinkedIn is your thing. So you're not across any other social platform. You're really just honing in your skills and niching into that, right?
Yeah, well, I'm active on all of the other platforms. I spend a lot of time researching all areas of digital marketing. I'm quite big on YouTube. I've spent a lot of time on there. But in terms of the services that I offer clients, I've decided to specialize in LinkedIn. That's really where I can see the opportunity, where we can deliver the best results. And before I go any further, I just want to say thanks for having me. Great to be here.
I missed that part where you get to show some gratitude. But thank you. No, look, it's absolutely 100% our pleasure, man. Look, I've been wanting to do this for some time. And I think this marriage of LinkedIn and video really fall hand in hand. And so what better person to bring on but the #1 man himself. So let's get straight into it, because I think so many people are kind of disheartened by social media. They think it's smoke and mirrors, publishing content they're unsure about, how frequently to do it, whether it's going to be of use to them, what to do with paid ads. I mean, there are so many variables, so many unknowns. How do you combat that?
In terms of keeping up to date with it, or?
Well, I guess dispelling the myth and cancelling out objections.
Understanding what works. You can do some research these days. There is a lot of data and stuff from LinkedIn, but you've really got to test and measure things before you know what works. And what works in my industry, not necessarily going to work in other industries. So it's about testing it first with my own business and then testing it with my clients, and then going, okay, this is something that I could openly recommend. And at any stage during that process, LinkedIn could change things. And yes, what I told you did work doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
You've got to have the ability to adapt. I think that's the most important thing. I always tell people if they did my LinkedIn training afternoon workshop 2 years ago, 50% of what they're doing is wrong, because that's how fast it's changing.
Yes.
I got this Monday Night Live series, been going for 3 years now. I won an award for it at the Social Media Awards last year. And just in the last few weeks, I'm like, hang on a second, we're not getting the same amount of reach. What's going on here? And, LinkedIn's integrated with LinkedIn events, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, that strategy is not as effective as it used to be. Now I've got to adapt and do something that's actually going to reach my audience, rather than just keep going at it because I've been doing it for 3 years and I won an award and that's what I do. You've got to have the ability to adapt to stay ahead of the game.
So that's marketing anyway, right? And so why should social media be any different? I mean, that's the funny thing, right? Adapt or die, your market changes, so you should too. And I guess, from my experience, we've found the same. I mean, every new week is something new from LinkedIn, and they've done a change or an update, and it's like, all right, It's
Yeah.
how does a micro business really, I guess, adapt to that change fast when they're just trying to keep up with like posting?
I have to remind myself of this all the time, but I have been using LinkedIn for the last 9 years, mainly for free to market my business. You're getting all these leads, like like I'm getting it pretty much for nothing. So when I'm like testing what works in the algorithm, most of the time, it's just like, how can I do it for free without paying for it? Like if I was spending money on Google Ads, for example, and they were making changes, it'd probably just make it easier for me to target my audience. But like trying to get the algorithm to work in your favor so you expose your content to more people without paying any money, it's ruthless because you've got to think about the customers, but you've also got the audience, but you've also got to think about the platform and how that works. I feel a bit like it's a puzzle that you've got to work out. And I'm fortunate that this is my area of specialty, so I can justify spending 4 or 5 nights going down a rabbit hole researching the importance of dwell time on a post, whereas any other business owner does have time to do that amount of homework.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So look, I have no idea where to start. I've got a list of questions here, but I'm thinking like there's so much I want to cover. And I think the important thing is not to try and get too overwhelmed, but I guess I'm trying to look for the quick wins, I guess, for our audience. How you're not new to video, you're not a stranger to it, doing some amazing stuff. I guess how important is, video in LinkedIn nowadays?
It's all about stacking the chips in your favor, I guess. And the stats say that videos are shared 20 times more than any other type of content. But it doesn't just mean that you can sit there and do a video and it's going to do well. It's got to be good. You've got to got to know what you're doing. And it is this whole new skill set, as you know, being able to, get in front of camera and hold people's attention, get them to remember the content, what you're saying, having it edited properly, lighting, audio, all those sort of things are a skill and are important. Like, people tell you they're not, but they definitely are. All, contribute towards baking the cake. You can't just expect to hop in front of the camera and say, hi, here I am. I'm on my way to a meeting. And all of a sudden your business is going to go crazy. Like you've got to have some sort of strategy and it's going to take some time for you to get good at it. But like if you do get good at it, you're able to build a much deeper relationship than you can through text or through images. It's an awesome skill to be able to hop in front of a camera and be able to deliver a message that people actually listen to. And you can have the great video and greatest video in the world, but if your caption doesn't compel people to press play, the stats say, and I think these are probably conservative, but after 10 seconds of people watching a video on social media, 50% of people that have started watching have stopped on average. After a minute, it's 80%. I honestly think that these figures are generous because I look at my Instagram, how long people are watching the videos and the curve just goes like this. Like people stop watching very quickly. And so if the video is rubbish and you don't hook people and you don't have a way to get people engaged with storytelling and things like that, the reality is even if it says you've got 200 views, the chances are a lot of them are probably only watching a few seconds. You need subtitles on or they don't know what you're saying. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I think it's a skill that's worth investing in and mastering for your business. One of the challenges I've had, though, since I started doing video content is I've been generating leads for clients, building connections, sending messages, set appointments, which is great because it gives them immediate return on investment. But meanwhile, in the background with my own business, I'm creating these video contents, getting all this thought leadership, credibility. All of a sudden, when I speak to potential customers, they're not speaking to 3 other providers. They're not as price sensitive. And so when I experience results like that, the question I ask myself is, well, how do I package this up and offer it to my clients in a way that, that they see is valuable, that it's affordable? Because I'm like, no way I can make it affordable because of the amount of time I'm investing in it. So now when we do content creation, I'll interview a client for 45 minutes and it could be either Zoom or in person. We've got a few tricks that we do to make the editing look good. Branded intro, subtitles, all of the things that I've just learned through trial and error. And so at the end of it, out of a 45-minute interview, we can create 20 short 2 to 3 minute videos, all with a headline creating curiosity, cutting out all their ums and ahs, ask the questions that create the answers, which will be an engaging piece of content. So prospects who may have tried posting a few times, got 7 likes or something, no comments, all of a sudden it's getting a few thousand views on their content just because it's presented in the right way. And so that's one way that we're able to deliver it without client actually having the skills, because they just talk into me and forgetting the cameras there. And it's my job to draw the content out of them. But if they sat in front of the camera and just looked at it right down the lens, and started talking about their business, I'm willing to bet that 9 times out of 10, no one would watch it because they'd just be in their own head, you know?
I find that there's so much vapor, and I don't know if that's the appropriate word, but to LinkedIn, that often disheartens people, or at least myself, when publishing content and realizing you only got 100 views or something like that. And you kind of mope around going, well, I didn't get my endorphin hit or my, my dopamine hit. And it's not until you meet someone face to face and you realize that they've made a decision on meeting you again or whatever, based on a video that they saw on LinkedIn, and you go, right, this is swaying opinion. This is doing the job that I can't get from stats. I can't see it in the views. I can't see it in the shares or like or anything like that. I get it because they chose me because of the outreach we did 18 months ago, or, you know, what they saw, a little whiff of a bloody fleeting moment of a post was enough of those contributed to their decision whether to choose us.
What you're talking about is really important, because a lot of people get distracted with the vanity metrics. It can end up making you move in the wrong direction, because like if you're basing your success on how people react, you're not focusing on the process. And what you're talking about is, like, I've noticed early on as well, and now I have a system for like going out and finding that information, but how people react, like those sales opportunities that come forward and things like that are actual tangible business metrics. Like, I know people that got 700,000 followers, get 500 likes every post, and calling people up asking if they know anyone that's hiring at the moment every few months.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, just, I guess, for my audience to understand how we're using it, I mean, the publishing is one thing. The publishing's like, okay, be present, be out there, make sure that you are being seen and thought of, if you like. But that's not really where the lead gen has come from us. The lead gen's come from the outreach that we do. And we might have sent someone an email 18 months ago. They've inquired with us. We ask them how they found us. They say, oh, well, I just searched for you on Google. And then we put them in the database and realize that we reached out to them 18 months ago. So, you know, the catalyst, as we see it, was the fact that action creates action. You know, that by us not doing that in the first place, perhaps we wouldn't have got them picking up the phone and contacting us. So in your experience, I guess, what is that? Do you have any kind of conversion content around, okay, people that just go out and publish all day and every day versus those that are actually quite active in the in-mail space, where they're kind of more behind the scenes trying to nurture that way?
I think the name of the game is to create conversations. More conversations you have, more relationships you build. More relationships you build, as long as they're the right people, they should turn into business. And so what you should be thinking is, how do I have more conversations, right? If you are messaging people on LinkedIn and doing the outreach, so you've made a start. And what you'll find is, if you start posting more regularly, first of all, you'll have more conversations. Second of all, those conversations will be a lot smoother. People will react a lot different. They'll be a lot easier. And these days, with people like on the average person's on 7 social media sites, and it's way easier to hop on Google and search someone's name than go back to Facebook or Instagram or wherever you saw them last. And, you know, they probably listen to podcasts on their way to work. They're spending an hour of their time looking at a mobile device, and they're doing all those different things. How much of that hour do you want to spend in front of them? And so I think you have an omni-channel approach where you are marketing on all channels. Wherever they want to consume you, they can. Very important that they can find you on Google if they're searching for your name. But the chances are they probably originally heard about you on Instagram or LinkedIn. Yeah. You can imagine how the whole thing breaks. If they see something on LinkedIn, search your name, can't find a website, you know.
Yes. So maximize the reach, increase the numbers of potential touch points, be there, have everything up to standard, so that whatever platform they land on, they're going to get some consistency.
Yeah, I'm a member of a networking group. I went this morning. Like, I just started in the last few months.
It's not BNI by any chance, is it?
No, it's not. I did BNI 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. It's a company called BX. Yeah, you know, like your conversations at scale where you're speaking to the whole room, you know, and then you might give an individual a business card, and you might have a one-on-one meeting with that individual. And I just think of LinkedIn as one big networking party. So the content is you speaking to the whole room, you know, connecting with somebody is giving them your business cards, sending them a message and having conversation privately is like having a one-on-one meeting with them, but it doesn't stop there. Then you pull the conversation offline, and that's just the next step, whether it's a Zoom call or face-to-face. I think it's very important. As soon as the conversation moves into talking about solving their problem, or specifics about what you do, so you just say, great question. What's your phone number? Or let's hop on a call so you can control the process. But the point of LinkedIn is you can have those conversations at scale. It's not a room of 15 people having breakfast. It's potentially 720 odd million professionals. It's huge.
And this morning, I heard the interview that you did with Grant Cardone. Great interview, by the way. I think it's
Thank you.
Awesome opportunity that you got in front of him. And I actually liked the content that was presented. One of the things that came up was monetization. Grant was all over that. If you're not monetizing, how you're measuring. And I guess that brings me to my point, because we've just started with LinkedIn advertising, got a bit of a bee in our bonnet. We're convinced we're doomed when it comes to advertising. We tried the Google advertising, we're trying LinkedIn advertising with very little success from that. And I guess I want your thoughts on, is it working?
So we run LinkedIn advertising campaigns for certain businesses that targeting works extremely well for. And it's just basically using the lead gen forms, getting them to download something. So we're getting all their data. The way that Facebook's works, and you can set up like funnels and get people that have a problem and remarket to people that watch so much percentage of your videos, all that stuff. LinkedIn's yet to have all that stuff. So from my perspective, I'm waiting for the point where I can amplify what I'm doing in my own business with LinkedIn ads. We're not there yet. I could have market an ebook and get a bunch of names and put them in my database, but that's not my business model. Like if you're marketing a product and you'd need volume, of people to remarket to and stuff like that. But what I'd rather do is educate the market so that people that are watching the videos and, realize that they have a problem and a need, and then are reaching out to me. That's what I'd like to see be able to happen on LinkedIn, but it's not quite there. And I just think that if I was the CEO of LinkedIn, the first thing I would do, unless someone told me I was crazy, is I would say, okay, personal profiles can sponsor their content. They can amplify them. When you get a good piece of content, and you post it, you can't even boost it on LinkedIn. How great would that be? You have to do it through a company page.
So are we talking about limitations again? Because LinkedIn has its fair share. I just over the years have seen lots of it.
It's limitations and opportunity. They go hand in hand. LinkedIn's always been a little bit behind Facebook and Instagram, which is great. I'd love to be running LinkedIn as opposed to the other ones, because you get to see what works on these B2C social media sites. And so when I see LinkedIn, has a limitation, I just think, okay, great, let's get ready for when they fix that. Because they've got all the, it's like LinkedIn Live. As soon as it came out, I knew exactly what strategy I was going to run. I knew exactly, because of seeing what happened on Facebook. So I think I'm just waiting for that moment where the ad platform gets a bit better so that I can use it in my business. And I'm sure that'll be the biggest part of my agency when that happens. But at the moment, it's a very niche type of business that we would do that for.
There is very little trust. And I say this purely from our perspective on the whole social advertising idea. It just seems like just have too low a budget, or there's just an intangible kind of mythical, magical fairy dust of a number that needs to be put on advertising. It seems like every thing that we advertise with, it's like, oh no, that's going to be too little. You should double that. You should double that. You should double that. And it's like, what is the number? We're kind of pressure testing LinkedIn at the moment. We're about month 3 in our advertising, and we're following all the recommendations. We are meeting with one of their specialists through ads, and still no conversion for us.
Yeah. What I would do if you're spending money on ads, I would get your LinkedIn contacts out into a CSV file. And I would also every month post a lead magnet on LinkedIn where people have to comment below to get it.
Yep.
Right. And then you send them the link to the landing page. And then I would be getting the data from the landing page and the data from your LinkedIn connections, using them as a custom audience on Facebook.
Yes.
And marketing with them with educational content on Facebook and Instagram, and then convert. So I actually use Facebook ads, but it's to my LinkedIn contacts. It's so cheap because it's a very small targeted audience. But going back to what I was saying before, being able to follow them around different platforms works incredibly well. My money goes a lot further doing that.
Yes.
So people go, oh, Nat, you're saying Facebook ads are better than LinkedIn.
Yes.
It's not, because It's only if you use it that way. Like if you just go spend money on Facebook ads, as you know, like it all comes down to strategy.
Yes.
But if you do follow that strategy, like it's the best return on investment
Yes.
I've seen in donkey's years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, top 5 lead generation tools for us has been LinkedIn and InMail. Like that circulation has just been going on and on and on for, over 2 years now. And it's been,
emails work okay?
It's been
the
great.
Actual paid the sponsored emails?
No, just organic.
With private messages.
Yeah. InMails, and that's been really great. And I think it's so funny as well how that works. You might hit somebody up with like 3 consecutive InMail messages over a period of time, and it's just crickets. And then one day out of the blue, there they are. That they want it, and it's almost like they're not willing to reply until the timing's right. They know
Absolutely.
You're there. Yep,
keep
sending me the email.
Yeah.
That's fine. But until we've got budget, until we've got the resources to do this, there's not even worth replying to. But then they drop, and it's like there they are. And the history in that InMail messaging service is great.
Yeah.
It's like comes down to making sure that the credibility of the messaging in that InMail is there forever. It's the history is kind of there. So if you look like a dick when you first kind of reached out to them, it's that kind of spammy history is there. We're always finessing that. But yeah, by far it's still exciting for us growing our business through this medium. We'll be back in a short moment with Nathaniel Bibby. Video is everything. And because the world is now demanding that you appear on camera, it's time to get the skills of a professional presenter. Go to ridgefilms.com.au/DIY because do-it-yourself videos should be easy and they should work. The DIY video program helps you personalize sales, produce video emails, and record videos regularly without tech hassles. Look and sound amazing, just like Nathaniel Bibby, and improve your professional image in every video meeting you have. Go to ridgefilms.com.au/DIY. What about profiles? Because people, I don't think, really understand the power of the profile and the importance of having that straightened out. LinkedIn's now integrated video into your profile, which we were all over immediately and kind of pushed our thing out there and told everyone should be doing this, But, let's go for a commonly used title in the top of the profile where an individual might use entrepreneur, content creator, inspiring keynote speaker. Like, are these just like the worst thing to include in, or is that the thing to do? Because I notice you don't do it.
The rocket ships get me in the emoji rocket ships in the headline. I'm like, come on, dude. And I'm so apologize if anyone's like, we all make mistakes, but
we get results.
But like there was a time when I was like, if you put keywords in your headline, you'll rank at the top and you'll get ranked well on Google as well. These days, because everyone's doing it, like it's more important than ever not to come across as a salesperson if you want to get customers. So it's about looking professional and showing credibility. I mean, people need to know what you do. Like, if your headline and your company name and your profile photos are that good that people are curious enough to click on your name and read your profile to find out what you do, then that's cool. Like if you look really important, that'll work. Curiosity is great, but if people are looking for like something specific, and then they're looking in their network for video marketing agency, like it's good to have it in your headline. But other than that, I would keep it very professional. Like the things are changing on LinkedIn because there's so many people that are salespeople on there now, spending all their time working out how to prospect. I think you want to make sure that first things first, if you are on there to get customers, make sure it doesn't look like a salesperson.
Yeah. And I guess hence why I've got sunglasses and whatever else on. And that's, I'm going to say that that's not the ideal thing. But on that, how important is it to get that image right? Like, obviously, there's things that look like somebody's just quickly pulled it off their iPhone and chucked it up there. And of course, now video is kind of changed the paradigm again. If you can't present yourself on video, you, to a certain degree, missing that opportunity. Tell me more. What do you think is the right way to present yourself?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, there could be a textbook right way, but if everyone did it, then it wouldn't be very effective. So, like, it is important to be unique, but I think, it just has to come back to your brand. Like, what is your brand? How are you going to show up when you are speaking in front of people, when you go to meetings, when you're on Zoom calls, and then you want to amplify that on social media. But clients say to me, "Oh, Nathaniel, I noticed you're wearing a t-shirt in your LinkedIn profile photo. Is that good? Should I redo my profile photo in a t-shirt instead of in a shirt?" And I was like, well, no, because I'm thinking, a shirt's probably better, but it's just like, it is in line with my brand. And I think like being unique and, you with the sunnies, like, is really cool, but like not just be unique for the sake of it. And you got sunnies on here and over there, you're professional and being unique, but having some sort of cohesive strategy with it.
Yes.
And the idea being with the personal brand is so that what will resonate with people is what they can relate to on a personal level. Like if you're business talk and you've got the corporate shop with the white wall behind you, there's no personality. People aren't going to remember looking at your profile. Probably not. Like if you show some personality, like, you tell them what you do, but you maybe put in a couple of like little anecdotes about your dog or, a bit of vulnerability about why you got into the business, show a bit of your personality in the photograph. Any of those things just make people go, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Maybe even I like that guy, but whatever, it's uniquely you. It makes you special, makes you easy to remember. And I think that's the most important thing is just working out what your brand is and not basing it on, oh, Nathaniel's got his t-shirt on, so I'm going to do that.
Yes. Yes. Looking at what's trending. So what are the common mistakes people make with their LinkedIn profile?
If they're using it to get customers, like a lot of the time that they've just got their profile set up as a CV, which, is a big mistake. So you just got to think about, okay, what am I using LinkedIn for? Who do I want to look at my profile? That whole other strategy for getting them there in the first place. But then when they get to the profile, what do I want them to do? What are they going to be thinking or feeling and skeptical about when they get to the profile? So just like a website, you just want to like move them through that conversion journey as smoothly as possible. So if somebody is like looking for a accountant and, the first thing in your profile is, I'm from Canada and I moved to, Perth like 12 years ago, and they're not going to be interested in that. So it's got to be like, straight away, like, are you frustrated with your bookkeeping or whatever it is? And then tell them what to do next. Like just that little thing of telling them what to do next will mean that your profile converts, because a lot of profiles I look at get like a few hundred views and they don't get any messages. They're like, oh yeah, people look at my profile, but nothing happens. That's a big problem because your profile is the conversion. That's where you get the conversions. All the other stuff is just to get people to go to your profile. All of the content and messaging is all just to get people to come to your profile. But that's where you have the permission there to explain what you do and what people should do next. Because if people are reading your profile, they're asking for that information. The mistake that a lot of people do is that on their profile, like they just talk all about themselves. They don't think about the person that's looking at it. And then when they post their content, they're like, oh, and go to my website and call me, like, and doing all that there in their videos and stuff, rather than just adding value, creating curiosity, getting people to come to the profile and then guiding them through the customer journey. And then after that, you just got to build credibility. Like people are so trust centric online these days. People have been ripped off left, right, and center. Like if you're in marketing, I'd be amazed if you can find a business that hasn't had a bad experience investing in marketing already. So they're like, is this guy somebody who's going to take from me, or is this guy actually going to help me? So it's really important that if you haven't worked with, 500 businesses or generated $400 million in sales, what have you got that you can draw focus to so that they're not left wondering? Like if you've only worked with 3 clients, like, okay, let's get crystal clear on what you did for them. So, okay, so like this client, we doubled the revenue for, and he was able to go and do this, and draw attention to that rather than trying to make yourself sound more important than you actually are. Talk about actual tangible results, because everybody says, we'll increase your revenue, we'll transform your business. The people that are doing that are writing the same things as the people that are making it up and don't know what they're doing. So how are you going to separate yourself? And then get recommendations, put video content on there. Video is so important, like really makes you stand out. Like if I'm speaking to a new prospect, they've like come across my website, for example, the conversation goes okay. But if they just watch one video, they just say, oh, I just spent the last 15 minutes watching a video on your LinkedIn profile. The conversation is so much easier. They just see you as an authority already. They're not as skeptical. It makes a huge difference. So you just want to put that information in front of people, but at the right stage of the customer journey. And when they've clicked on your name to look at your profile, that's the right stage, because they've asked for the information, or they've Googled your name and they've ended up at LinkedIn. At that point, like they've asked for the information. It's an inbound activity. When they're at your profile, It's not you pushing it on them as an outbound activity in your content. So it's about the customer journey and making sure that when they get to your profile, that you're doing the right things of converting them to the next stage.
Yes.
And your website's no different.
Yes.
So people say to me, right? People say, oh, I've got this video on my website. Isn't it great? Should I post on social media? And I said, no, like that video is not going to work on social media. And they're like, oh, you know, I paid all this money for it. I should get rid of it. I said, no, like it's perfect for your website, you know, explaining what your product's all about. But people aren't at that stage of the customer journey if you're posting organically yet.
It's still quite fresh, the idea of repurposing video content. We're just seeing the trend now in the last 3 or 4 years of people saying, well, I'm going to spend, you know, $5,000 on a 90-second video. How do we leverage and extend its lifespan? So there's more and more demand now for, you know, short 15, 20-second grabs where we break up a 90-second video into short content so that they can repurpose it for social media and convert it into ads and whatever. Mr. Southall, do you have any questions that you've got?
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder. So, Nat, a question around duration of video content. Is there an ideal time, or is it just based on where they are in their journey and where the video lives? How does that work?
It's as long as it takes for you to get the value across. Like shorter, there is a lot of value in clarity. You know, it's so if you can do it in 30 seconds, you know, do that. But ideally, like when we're producing videos for clients, we're looking to get it between 1.5 to 2.5 minutes for organic posting on LinkedIn. You know, the platform works very different on YouTube. So like on YouTube, it's better to have longer content. But you just got to remember, like at any point, whether it's the first minute or the first 10 minutes, it's boring for like, you know, even for, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. Like if it's, you got to get rid of it, because as soon as people stop watching, they're not going to go back and watch, you know, what you're saying towards the end. There's a lot of people that start posting on LinkedIn and they're literally like, they spend the first 20 seconds explaining who they are and, you know, why they're using that camera and, I don't know, getting themselves comfortable, which, you know, if you're going to do a video for the first time, that's cool, but just cut that shit out. Like, sorry, I don't swear, but cut that off before you post it. Sometimes with these questions and answer videos I was talking about with clients, you know, I'm interviewing them. Quite often when we post the video on the client's behalf, the question's not even cut out. It just goes straight to them talking. You know, if it doesn't create some sort of context for the viewer, then we just cut it out. And we even put the hook at the start. So like if there's a 2.5 minute video for a client, just for 7 seconds, they said something really cool with a bit of passion, we'll put that right at the start, just so people know what's coming, just like they do on TV. You know, like on TV, they'll show you the highlights before you watch the episode. There's a lot of things to think about, you know, but I think with social media, you get started and then every video you do, just learn a bit more. And the more you post, the quicker you'll learn. For a few years, I posted 5 times a day. I just figured, well, if I post, like I'm learning quite a lot at the moment, but if I posted 5 times a day, I'm probably going to learn a lot quicker. And I was like, oh, but how am I going to have time to run a business while I'm posting 5 times a day? Like the learning begins. You have to figure it out, right? Now I know how to create a lot of content without it taking up all my time. But I don't know if I would have learned that if I didn't have to, you know?
So like anything, it's like building the process, right? Building processes, seeing what works and keeping on top of it. Yeah. So I guess in our experience, the idea of building the process, given that they might only do something once in a blue moon, is part of the challenge. That's the gap in things working and not. The fact that they can't, you know, recall, dig up a way of doing things that is consistent and ensures that they have a speedy transition the next time they do it. I don't know. There's not really a question there. Just more of an observation. Back to you, Brendan.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Does LinkedIn only work for B2B?
Really good question. Like, I love that, because there's, like, I'll give you an example. There was a lady who's based in Singapore. She's Singaporean, but she grew up in Australia. She markets Australian real estate to people that live in Singapore. And I was catching up with her while I was there, and she said, oh, it's such a shame LinkedIn only works for B2B. Like, I would love to use it to market my real estate business B2C. And we were having a couple of drinks. And then I said, well, what about this? What about if we target CEOs that live in Singapore that went to university in Australia? You know, they've got some ties with Australia. Maybe they'll come along to one of your property seminars. And sure enough, like within a couple of days, she filled up a seminar. And she's like, oh, I can't take any more bookings for my seminar. All these CEOs rock up or went to university in Australia that live in Singapore. And she started doing these seminars every month. She couldn't fill them before. She was running full page ads in the newspaper up there. And so that's a B2C, you know, targeting. The other thing, like if you're not going to go direct to consumer, just think about, okay, well, either what businesses also work with my customers that are complementary, or distribution channels, Or perhaps you want to get speaking gigs, or you want to get in, PR, any of those opportunities where it'd be helpful to get in touch with a certain industry and business title. And sometimes those opportunities can be worth a lot more, if you're in retail and you sell T-shirts, for example, you could get in touch with the right person at David Jones to market your clothes through LinkedIn. So it's just about strategy, but really good question.
Yeah, everything gets sorted out after a couple of drinks, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The speaking is a big thing. Like when I do LinkedIn versus Instagram with the Instagram coach, Vilinovich, like she doesn't use LinkedIn for business. Like her products, membership base is about $50, $45 a month. But she's like, but now that you mention it, all of my paid speaking gigs come from LinkedIn, because that's where the event managers are looking for speakers.
Yes, yeah. Another question around touch points. How many, what's the number and where are these touch points needed in order to build trust?
Yeah, okay. I guess you want the touch points coming your way, really. You don't want to just be touching them all the time. So if you're doing that outreach stuff, I try and do it in one message. I don't send 3 messages if people don't reply and stuff like that. I mean, maybe in a year, I'll invite something, but respect people's time, keep what you're asking for very succinct, and people respect that. But if what you're asking for is not going to be valuable and it's not positioned in a way that's valuable to the person you're sending it to, sending a longer email and 3 more messages. I'm happy to test everything. I spoke to one of the LinkedIn marketing agencies in the US, and I was like, do you know what? I actually really like your content. There's not many LinkedIn marketing agencies I aligned with, but I said, I really love what you're doing. Let's have a chat, see what opportunities there are. And this came up about how many times do you send messages? And he's like, well, we send a sequence of 6 messages to clients. And I was like, interesting. What's your conversion rate? What's your average conversion rate? Told me the conversion rate. It's exactly the same as when I send one message, wasn't better, wasn't worse. But I think, coming back to your point, what you're saying before about timing and seeing that history of messages, I think, if somebody is going to reach out in 6 months, do you want to be the guy that's been sending the most sales messages every month with no response? If they are sending you messages going, hey, Nathaniel, I really like your YouTube videos or commenting on your stuff, yes, give them love, look at their content, respond to their comments. It's all helpful, but then you want to move them up the engagement ladder, but you have to be getting that engagement to, those touch points, I guess, to be warranted. Just one thought. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to it because you've just got to think about where the prospect is in the customer journey, I suppose.
One of the most successful things that we do, and it stirs up trouble, certainly when I open up my LinkedIn and see all these messages and whatnot, but we basically go after people that have either shared, liked, or liked, shared, or commented on content and email them and attach the link and say, hey, thanks so much, just a simple appreciation. And it's just amazing the feedback that we would get on that. Now, we're not asking for anything. We're simply just going, hey, we're here and we noticed you like that content. Thank you so much. And it's really interesting how that plays out. My business coach said once, you're on social media, so be social. And I forget that so much, it's so new. Even now, we've been running it for so many years, but even now I still got to remind myself, this is get out of it what you put into it. You're doing exceptional at the LinkedIn and the outreach stuff. The way that, you approached me with the video messages, it's I very impressed. I was the way you're doing it and things like that, you just mentioned, I can just imagine when people are listening to this, I wonder, when do I have time to do all of that? Yes. But and I imagine you've done this, but people got to remember, you figure out what works. Yes. And that it might be time consuming at time, but as soon as you put it into a system, it doesn't have to be time consuming to do all of that. It's 100% right. Because when I really invested, and I sort of BNI and went, right, I'm all in on LinkedIn. And when I realized, and I was part of Lempod and all that at that point, and I was like, the hours that I burnt up in just trying to be there, I just not get anything else done. And then this is only one platform, right? Not to mention the 10% of other platforms that we kind of do the regular little post once a week or whatever it happens over there. But Grant said it this morning, if this is a full-time job, if you can't systematize it, then, you're just going to burn your day doing this. If you start a business, right, and you haven't got any customers and you're sitting there at home in front of your laptop and you haven't got any money for ads, and you go onto Facebook, you're scrolling through the news feed, you're like, okay, I'll do a post.
right? And then you get a couple of likes, and like you obviously aren't making any money, so you can't pay your bills. So like those couple of likes are the highlight of your day. So all of a sudden, your whole business becomes about, oh, what am I going to post today? And what likes am I going to get? You don't even have a business. Like you need a business and customers and a product and something to convert them to before you start getting all that stuff.
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
it's really important.
Oh, look, and that's really what came out of the Grant Cardone meeting, you know, this morning. It's like, well, if you've got nothing, what are you doing? You know, like you're just having chit chats with people. Like at some point you're going to ask, what do you want? You know, and you've got to, you know, if you've got something there for them, it's.
But like I asked him, I said, you know, like you can't measure, you know, the success of each piece of content. I know the return on investment's there. He knows it's there. But when you're actually like posting each piece of content, like you can't sit there every single time you post a video and go, will this make me any money? You know, it's got to be part of like a holistic strategy. So that you go, okay, look, some of these videos are going to be entertaining.
Yes.
That's going to be part of how I grow my subscribers.
Yes.
And then every now and then I'm going to ask them to buy something. And as long as my business is growing and I'm making money, then it's working.
Is there a magic number, I guess, frequency of posting and diversification of what you post? So, you know, text, still images, video versus an article or a reshare or something like that. Is there any kind of magic balance, or should you just have a crack at everything?
Well, yeah, I think you should do what you're good at and like what you can systemize. Like obviously, like, you know, LinkedIn have said they will give preference towards people that are posting in all different formats. Like a couple of years ago, I don't know how active you were on LinkedIn then, but you know, these guys were writing these like posts without images, without videos, and you structure them in a certain way, and you know, they make the sentences quite punchy and they would go viral. And so that like they would post those every few days, and like LinkedIn, they have these meetings with the engineers, and they're like, these dudes are hacking the platform. We're going to kick these guys off. How do we stop this from happening? And they're like, okay, we'll just add this to the algorithm. Like, you know, we want content creators to be doing the articles and the videos and the images, and we give preference to them. If they're doing one type of content, then they'll get like I don't know, it just won't get the same amount of kudos.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the latest. And in terms of frequency of posting, like there's a couple of things. One is like, how quick do you want to get where you're going? Like you'll get more feedback if you post quicker. If you're trying to do a high volume and the quality of the content decreases because you're trying to do too much, then you're doing too much. Like you should never compromise
sabotaging yourself.
Quality. Yeah, but with clients, like businesses, you know, the average business, I find that if we're posting twice a week, then we're able to stay on top of like in the newsfeed for most of their audience for long enough. And then sort of like after 3 or 4 days, the post will probably slow down a bit. And then you've got another one going up to the top of the newsfeed.
Avoiding the sabotage and allowing that content to circulate. Like we've actually found that we pulled from, I think, 5 days down to, well, I think it's decreasing day by day, but anyway, I think it's now around about 3 times a week for that reason. You know, we don't bother posting on weekends. Usually it's just a kind of a, you know, distribute it wherever we can. We don't have a preference of time of day or anything. We just kind of go, yep, cool. That's our, you know, tick. We've done it, sort of thing. And with varying degrees, you know, we're not measuring like, oh my God, I got 6 likes or 100 views or whatever. We're not really measuring. We're just kind of going based off a gut feel. You know, is that the right thing?
My first big LinkedIn Heroes interview was like the 4th interview I did. And I was like, Dr. John DeMartini's coming to Melbourne.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
You know, I was like, oh, this is the event company that's booked him. Oh, here she is on Instagram. Oh, I'll just message her this at like 11 o'clock at night before he was speaking in Melbourne. Anyway, she's like, yeah, sure. Like after he does his talk, if you finished around 11 p.m., if you're there with your camera guys, you'll be able to get the interview with him. I'm like, gee, what? Wow, okay. So I've got to organize this camera crew and get there, right? The next day, patiently waiting for the video guy to get me the footage. And he gets it to me at like 9 p.m. that night or something. I was so excited. I was like, oh, yeah, wicked. Posted it straight on LinkedIn, right? Wake up the next morning. It's got like not much engagement at all because I posted it at night.
Right.
Most people gone to bed.
Yes.
No engagement till the morning.
Yeah.
And so it didn't actually get that much attention. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
And Aussie's like, so, who's DeMartini? You know, it's like, yeah, whatever.
When I reposted it. I think it must have been about 8 months later. I did it in the morning on a Monday, so people engage on it in Australia quicker, and then it just gives that momentum to keep going and it stayed like getting engagement for over a week when I did it that way. But it's just a very important lesson. Just do it in the morning where your audience is, so they've got the whole day to engage with it.
Yes, right. Yeah. So is there a kind of perpetual motion if more people jump on it quicker? Does LinkedIn see that? Oh, that's trending, and away we go. Right,
massive.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
That's very important. Yeah.
Good. A great story, by the way. I think it's awesome.
Well, I thought I'd just throw that in there. Yeah.
No, it's cool, man. Name drop. Stories. I love it. And we love DeMartini, man. Although I do have to listen to him on half speed most of the time when he's on podcast.
He pauses a lot, doesn't he?
Well, like a lot of these gurus, they have, repeated themselves for years. And so when they get asked a question, they can kind of regurgitate, but they do it in a way that they sometimes take for granted that somebody is listening who knows him or her. And often that's not the case. So you've got to play this kind of catch-up game to try and figure out what the hell they're talking about.
I can relate to that. Yep.
And it might be the case with some people that listen to this show, actually. But anyway, look, Mr. Southall, I'm running out of questions here. And look,
I just have one more.
Well, you have permission to ask.
Right. Oh, is that okay? Thank you so much. So for video, can the hook be in the text to help give it context, or does it have to be in the video clip?
Yeah, I think the text should give context. Yeah, the reason that we put that like little highlight at the start is just to keep people watching, because they like, and a highlight sometimes creates curiosity. Like the video editors, I had to train on how to do this, but to find the bit that's like, and this was the biggest thing I've ever learned in my life. And it's just like, no, you don't need to tell them what it is. Just put that at the start, because they'll keep watching. So if you open the curiosity loop, like that's what's most important. But a context is a bit important as well. Like you've got to explain, like if it just goes to a video and you're there talking with some woman, like who's that woman? Like, for example, and then you just got to think about what's going to get them to press play. Because like when I first started posting video content, I thought, I'm going to write a caption to go with it. I'll just write in the caption what I said in the video. Like, these are the 3 things to remember about posting on LinkedIn. And I write them all there. And I thought about it. I was like, what the hell are people going to watch the video for? I've given them all the information. So, the better way to do it is just go, these are the 3 things. Watch the video to find out what they are,
Yes.
But great question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's got it. See, that's why he comes on. He's got all the great questions.
You guys know this stuff. You guys are doing all the right stuff. I know you are.
Yeah, but I don't.
Setting me up.
I'm not
setting
confident about. Having said that, you've offered so much value, and obviously I've learned already from you. But I know that on this channel, the Video Made Simple podcast, we've never really covered a lot around LinkedIn. And so I just want to say thank you so much for spending an hour with us and going over this stuff. I think it's really important that people at least have a bit of bearing on this and how video can act as this beautiful distribution mechanism on LinkedIn and be out there visible day in, day out. And I think that's underestimated in today's market.
Absolutely. And you're most welcome. But I think there's a lot of people in my audience that would get value from what you do as well. Like a lot of people trying to do this themselves, like, this is what they're looking for. This is what they need. There's not a lot of stuff out there that's any good.
Honestly, I'm just really happy. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure that we're not going to be quite as strangers on LinkedIn now. I know him from his LinkedIn profile. Perhaps one day we'll do this again and with some new LinkedIn algorithm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be opportunities to do other things together. Thanks very much for having me. It's been great.
Thank you, mate. Have an amazing rest of the day. Mr. Southall.
Cool. Very good. Very good.
Do you have any post-amble? Something about marketing and video. It is underestimated, isn't it? I mean, so many people don't think of social media as a way to grow their business, but it has been such a big contributor of ours for many years now and completely underestimated. Top 5 marketing activities. In fact, it's probably more like top 3 at the moment.
It probably would be, actually, wouldn't it? Yeah. I mean, just as an example, of the 3 top opportunities we've got at the moment have all come from LinkedIn.
Yeah. And that's why.
And they're all looking very likely to close because we've already built that trust.
Right.
And credibility.
Yeah. It's completely underestimated. You're 100% right, mate. And, it's not just for you thinking about this, it's not you and your social media. I think if you, just like Nathaniel said, you systematize this, you process this up, there is a team of people behind us that make this happen for us. And I think that's an important thing to consider. Yeah, there's lots of things. And whilst you might say, oh, your profile, so you look at somebody and think your profile's up to date and they publish a lot, but it's all the stuff that happens in the background behind the scenes as well that you don't necessarily see that is equally as important, if not more important. People still respond to that one-on-one interactivity. And I think that is underestimated on social media. And I think you really got to consider that, go all in on it, all in on conversations, on being social. It's not just a place for you to spam people, and if you do that over time, you do have great content. And as you say, like, all marketing needs to breathe. It's not because you put out something and immediately people are going to start doing business with you. 18 months it may take, or longer in some cases, where people they're just not ready right now. But when the time's right, you're the first person they'll think of. And video will play a mechanism, a part of that, because you are visually present. You have got enough visual equity through your face, through what you've been saying, through the nurturing of content that you've been putting out there. And when the time's right, you're the person that they'll think of. Our Ridge Films clients are the best video marketers in the world and know how to get their business a huge return on investment. For this week's video marketing tip, Brandon, you have a client you've been working with?
Yes, one of our mortgage broker clients.
Yeah, so tell me more about him. What was the problem you were trying to solve?
So the problem that we're trying to solve was trying to get people engaged to want to download an ebook and then follow up with a conversation afterwards. Initially put an ebook on social and then asked for people to download it and give their phone number. And of course, got very little conversion on that. Almost no one responded. So we put a video on each of the 4 chapters in the ebook and released those one a week for the 4 weeks.
Yes.
And over time, he was obviously building trust, getting people to know him, making people be very aware that he's not a shark and trying to take their money. He's actually there to help them. So at the end of that 4th video, he then asked for their download and contact numbers. And I think the number he said was like 70 or 80% of people actually committed to it. So that just proves the value that video and LinkedIn and having that relevancy and frequency there is adding to the whole trust and credibility formula.
So what's the conversion? The result was?
And the result was a 70 to 80% conversion rate of people wanting to download it and start the conversation from that point.
Awesome. That is sensational. I love that so much that you've been working with clients and allowing them and giving them advice on being able to do that. So if you want to do something like this for yourself, you need to hire a video marketing professional like Brandon Southall. Go to ridgefilms.com.au. That's all for this episode of the Video Made Simple podcast. Thanks for listening and see you next week.